Okay, that's funny. I said that there'd be a moment of silence, but I had forgotten to start the recording, so I'm going to say it now. There'll be about a moment of silence for those of you listening to the recording. Okay, it is 6 p.m. Pacific time. Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the Stages of Love monthly call. My name is Thomas Kuster. I am the director and founder of the Stages of Love, and I'm a life coach, and I coach in matters of the heart, relationships, couples, anything related to getting freed up around who you really are, and sometimes dealing with the trap of the small self, your mind in the matter. So tonight's call is entitled Heart to Heart. And the way the call goes is I'll generate a few conversations and give you an opportunity to speak up if you'd like. And I am designing this call to be more giving you points of reference, thoughts and ideas to inspire you to develop your own relationships at a higher level, be they with a significant other, partner, spouse, or family member, or even close people in your life. My question always in the background, not asking you to answer me directly, but how much love can you handle? How much love can you stand? So in this call, I want to distinguish some things about the heart. So first of all, the heart has almost as many neurons as the brain. It is the first organ to develop in the human body. It is a critically important part of who we are. It might even be as important or more important than the brain, given that it's been proven through HeartMath out of Northern California, a group of scientists who have been studying matters of the heart for almost 30 years. And they have found that the heart communicates more to the brain than the brain communicates to the heart. However, you and I exist in a culture where we've learned to believe that rationality is what should prevail. We've been trained, whether directly or indirectly, that feeling and intuition may not be that important. Tonight I want you to get is critically important. You see, the brain speaks in pictures. It speaks in pictures that gets distinguished in language. Very powerful, right? While the heart speaks through intuition and feeling. Now, I want to distinguish with you feeling. You see, in most cases, when you and I talk about feeling, we don't realize it right away, but where our brain almost immediately goes is to feelings, like a noun, kind of like emotions. However, what I'd like for you to get is that we're not pointing to feelings like emotions. We're pointing to feeling, as in to feel. Well, feeling what? Well, as a verb, I'm talking about feeling, excuse me, beneath rational logic. Feeling vibrations, feeling energy. And through those types of feeling, we initiate intuition. Intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without conscious reasoning. It's knowing by instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. Now, given that you and I, as a culture, have been learned to believe that rationality is more important, then we start to ignore at some level the inner voice. Now, that inner voice, by the way, is distinct from small self chatter. And sometimes because we have dislocated ourselves from the heart, we don't know how to distinguish this inner voice versus small self chatter. But we'll get into a little bit of that, okay? And we also have discounted or set aside that gut feeling should get any weight at all. That's the feeling beneath the brain, the feeling beneath that rational logic. It's important for you to hear what I'm about to say loud and clear. So if your thoughts are running crazy and you got a lot going on, for this next statement, just stop. Just stop for a moment and let this sink in, okay? Both domains, the domain of logic, or you could say the brain, and the domain of intuition and feeling, or you could say the heart. So both domains, the domain of the brain and the domain of the heart, are both critical. And to be very powerful, you want to be well grounded in both domains. But you see, given our culture, you and I have got to build a new relationship with our heart response. Now, how in the heck are you going to do that? Well, first of all, are you willing just to acknowledge your weakness regarding intuition and feeling? I mean, for some of you, if we talked about it a little bit, you might even say, well, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing. You know, if I were to tell somebody that I'm basing my reactions or actions on intuition and feeling, they may think that I'm crazy or something. Well, they might. They especially might if they are clear that you're not well grounded in both domains. But you and I, we can't operate from that premise. We have to operate that there is something new to get for ourselves that will give us so much more power. So just to yourself, just acknowledge that you are weak in distinguishing feeling, and you're weak in distinguishing intuition. And remember, I said intuition is that inner voice that's distinct from small self chatter. See, if you and I are mostly distinguishing feelings like emotions, well, take a look, okay? Emotions lead to stories and labels. And if you and I get stuck in stories and labels about something, then we get diverted from being freed up to feel right now in this very moment. If I can get myself present and feel in this very moment and allow myself to access intuition, then I am not stuck. Does it mean I'm going to make the right choices? Well, it doesn't mean anything like that. What it does mean is that you'll access a wisdom to choose a wisdom to act that isn't available if you avoid or discount the possibility of what the heart has to offer. The heart is always speaking. If it had a microphone, it would have a lot to say about what matters to you most. It would have a lot to say about the life and the future you're living into. So you're going to practice under number one, acknowledging your weakness regarding feeling and intuition. And a part of that is going to be to practice feeling vibration, allowing the energy to move naturally without resistance and without clinging. That's freedom. That is freedom. Number two, let go of holding on to feeling any energy no matter what. Even if you label the feeling good, you want to let it move through you. No clinging. Even if you label it bad, you don't resist it. Merely resisting it just has you feel whatever you think's bad way longer than you need to. You simply feel and let the energy move through you. Number three could be the toughest, even though it is the simplest. Listen closely. We're all guilty of what I'm about to say, and you may have a really hard time with this one, but be with me. Practice letting go of closing down the heart to protect. You see, that kind of protection is an illusion. It actually separates you from that which would get you free. Now, here's one way that this looks. I'll give you two scenarios that I've heard from clients, couples that I've worked with. So, let's say your spouse or someone, somebody close to you, expresses how they feel about some aspect of relating to you. Maybe you're not able to hear it, or maybe it hurts you to feel that that could even be possible or true. It might sound like your spouse has something to say, and they're talking, and you are clearly distracted and not listening. And they say to you, "Are you listening to me? I need you to listen." They may not say those exact words, but they're saying something that means that, and you know what they mean. But your response might act a little annoyed, and you might start to parrot back what they said. "Yes, I am. I'm listening to you. You said blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah." And though your words may be accurate, the truth is you weren't listening. And if your spouse, friend, lover is not strong in the heart space, you may leave them then questioning themselves, moving away from trusting their intuition, moving away from trusting their gut, trusting their feeling. It may not seem like such a big deal, but if somebody cares enough to be with you and cares enough about your opinion that it turns them inside on themselves, as in questioning their own sanity, this is a huge injustice. Example number two. Maybe your spouse, friend, lover is concerned. It's probably going to be more like a spouse or lover in this case. Maybe they're concerned about fidelity. And they question you. You were talking to that woman a particular way, or I saw you flirting with those guys. It made me feel uncomfortable. And your response is in some way to have them question their own sanity, like they're crazy to even think such a thing is happening. When you and I do that, we weaken, hear me closely, we weaken our own connection to our own heart. You see, if I break down someone else and have them question themselves, before long that projection turns in on me. And in fact, it may already be in on me. And I'm just projecting it out. So the game here, number 3, is to tell the truth. And then deal powerfully with the consequences. Like in example 1, the response might be, you know what, I wasn't listening. I'm distracted by thoughts. I've got other things on my mind. Can we start again? I apologize. Or whatever. Or you could even say, this may not be a good time, and I should have said that already. Please forgive me. I love you, but can we discuss it a little later? Let me take care of what's going on in my head. I mean, that would be acceptable, right? In example number 2, you might simply say, you're right. I am having thoughts of infidelity. I did think she was cute. I was flirting with her, but the truth of the matter is you are my number 1. I have no intention of straying. I just wanted the attention. I'm sorry I hurt you doing that. Or, for the women, yes, I was flirting with those guys. I just, for whatever reason, I'm not going to make up what the reason is, but the truth is how you get more powerfully connected to the heart. The truth is the only way the heart can work. If I live in a lie, if I live in rejection, if I live in resistance, the heart is closed. It can be no other way. Only the brain can lie and cover it up. The heart cannot. It can only shut down. And the way you and I deal with this and how we interact with those closest to us, it actually trains them to be more heartfelt around us. What a powerful opportunity to be that in anybody's world. So when I'm working with my clients, I guide them through short meditations because meditation is, I say, critically important in getting connected to the heart. And these meditations are specifically designed to have you more heart conscious, to have you more in touch with feeling, while not discounting or letting go of rational logic. Because I want you to have both, being powerful in both domains. That's the greatest achievement you can have in this lifetime. Both are very, very necessary. I know that I've said a lot of things. I know that there are thoughts that you're having. My request is that you start to scribble down some of your thoughts as I continue with a couple more points, because I will give you an opportunity to speak on this in any way that you choose. And I understand that some of you may not want to say anything, even though you may have something to say. I encourage you to do it, and I'm just happy you're here. So whether you do or not is not critically important. What's critically important is that you get some value for yourself. But go ahead and just think through, what might you share? What might you want to put out here? Because I'm going to go now to number 4. And number 4 is to meditate. Number 5 is to be observant. Be observant of what's going on around you. Be observant of how quickly your small self takes over and shuts down the heart in order to fulfill on the illusion of protecting yourself. Be observant about that. Today, I was out with my significant other, and we were looking at automobiles, and we went to replace our phone. And in our mind, the replacement of the phone, in a perfect world would have been 20 minutes. Things not being completely perfect, maybe an hour. We were there for over 2 hours. And I kept noticing, because I do practice being very observant of my actions and my thoughts and how I'm being. And I kept noticing how I wanted, now I say I, but we're really talking small self, right? Wanted to be angry with the individual who was trying to help me. And keep in mind, this young man was doing everything that he knew how to do. He was completely attentive and completely there. But because of the nature of being observant, millisecond by millisecond by millisecond, see, instead of taking big chunks of time, I take very, very, very small pieces of time. And I was able to let go, let go, let go, let go. Ended up getting everything done. Listen, just because I was letting go, by the way, doesn't mean everything's going to get done or everything's going to work out. It just so happened that it did. But what did get fulfilled because of that is that young man learned some things of what he needed in his job, not from me, but from the circumstance. He was able to do it peacefully for himself, because I know his stomach was in a knot, or could have been. So all of us had a better afternoon simply because of that practice. Which takes me to number 5. And number 5 is practice connecting deeply with other people. So Arjuna Ardha has a method that I learned from him in his trainings called listening with all of you. And I've done audios in the past about listening with all of you. And listening with all of you is magic. And it takes something, especially in the beginning. It's an act of generosity on one hand, but in that act of generosity, it all comes back to you. So everything you give, you're getting back. And so I notice I'm a fast mover. And anybody on this call who knows me personally, you know that about me. I have a lot going on, and I'm happy to have that, right? But I have to consciously stop to make sure I connect. Because why be here if I'm not going to connect? Why be here if I'm not going to feel deeply? Why be here if I'm not going to experience life? Because what I say is that our purpose, our life purpose, is to experience life fully, to experience aliveness. And in order to do that, we must train ourselves to feel. And in order to feel, we must be connected. So that gives you the 5 points. And hopefully you've had a few minutes to think some things through. I'm going to open up the call. And if you'd like to share anything at all, just simply say your first name, and I'll call on you.
You are now unmuted.
You're now unmuted. Anybody that might want to just pop in here?
Jean.
Hey there, Jean. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for getting me on the right track that I typed in July instead of June for the reminder. I wouldn't have caught it, Jean, had you not let me know.
You're welcome. My goodness. You know, what comes up for me in this conversation, which is so great, is just fear, and how, and I don't know if that's, it feels like it could be both the brain and the heart.
Yeah.
The example of flirting with somebody and my boyfriend catching me or noticing and having a conversation about it, and, wanting to, especially because I know that for him, fidelity is number one. And so the fear of acknowledging it when he could go away.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
not that it could happen, but it could happen, where,
yes.
Anyway.
Of course. So
that's just,
all right.
Just what
that's
for
good.
me is this fear. There's just so much fear that can run
yes.
me, us.
I got it. Can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So for everybody who's listening in, consider that fear, number one, I think all of us might have a sense of that fear, but that fear is your red flag that the heart is closed. Okay? Now, don't misunderstand me. It's not like you got to run and get all weird like you did something wrong. Flirting is not wrong. It's some expression there, and you did it for whatever reason there might have been in that moment. But given that fidelity is number one for him, given that he trusts you and you want him to be able to trust you, if in fact this happened and he saw it. So, Gene, let's say you get flirtatious and you're out and about. I'm not suggesting you go home and you call him up and say, by the way, I was flirting today, I'm sorry. No, there's just no need in that, especially when you know it was completely innocent. However, if for whatever reason he's around, he sees it or he senses it or anything like that, you want to respond 100% truthfully. And that, believe it or not, will leave him more secure, not less secure. Gene, can you think back in your life a time when you questioned somebody else for whatever reason, whether it be fidelity or anything at all, and they denied it, and you were left feeling like either I'm crazy or he's lying to me, and you let it go because you wanted the relationship and you just hoped that he was being truthful. But it wasn't, I hope he's being truthful, like flirtation didn't happen. You just want truth no matter what, and then you can deal with the consequence. That is heart building. Does that land? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thanks. And was there anything else that came up for you? That's really perfect, by the way. Really appreciate that input.
No, I the other thing I will say is that there's something that you said, and I didn't quite catch it, and it was almost like, this is the secret to life.
Uh-oh.
What? Say it again.
Well, I'll tell you what I think you might be pointing to, and that is you must be powerful in both domains, and that is the greatest achievement in this lifetime.
Mm.
And that is to be powerful in the distinctions of the heart and be powerful in the distinctions of the brain. Do you think that's what it was you caught?
It might have been.
Well, if it wasn't, I'd say listen to the recording because I don't know.
Exactly. No, I will.
That's great, Gene. You're the best. Thank you very much for chiming in.
Sure.
Anybody else like to say something or throw something in the conversation? Everything's
David.
welcome. Hey, David. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Hey, is it hotter than blue blazes over there in Sacramento, Roseville?
Plus a few degrees.
Plus a few degrees. Got it. Listen, I think my fish are going to boil in the aquarium. I'm not kidding. I'm thinking, what am I going to do with my fish? Anyway, I digress. Hi, David.
How are you, Thomas?
I'm
so
ready. I'm great.
One of the things that's opening up to me is patterns in the way of communication.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
flirtation flirtation is a perfect example. You have distinguished like two opportunities, or you help distinguish human nature and how we often go to a space of, and I'll use my own language, criticism, judgment, argument, defense, insecurity, and these are all the go-to spaces to protect heart.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I thought perfectly as an individual, the one having the reaction, or the story, or the interpretation of what's happening.
Yeah.
And really take a step back, be calm, and truly be in that space of authenticity of communication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got that's such a gateway for your other half, if you will.
Yeah.
To really relate to you powerfully.
Yes. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. That was great.
It allows them to relate powerfully, and it also allows you and he or she to connect at a new level in that moment. When I say a new level, it's not like a level you've never had before, but it's a level in this moment which makes it brand new. So it's beautiful. Thank you. Anything else, David?
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. We have time for one more if anybody else wants to jump in here.
Hi, this is Mark. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, Mark. How are you, buddy boy?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm all right. I'm sitting up here on the side of the hill looking at the lake, hearing familiar voices. Hello, David. Hello, Gene. Been a long time, but it's good to hear your voices. And,
very nice.
Yeah. So what came up for me as you were talking about distinctions in who we're being when someone's present versus when they're not is in the mid-'90s, I met a gentleman in Portland and had a great conversation. They'd been married decades and had a quality relationship as he shared it with me. So I asked him some of his secrets, and he said, the one thing is, and I'm using my language now, not his exact language, but he said, the one thing is there's no distinction between who I am when she's here or when she's not. I am all the time. She never wonders. There is no distinction.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I'm not saying any other way of being is better or not. I just thought that's just a nice model to look at to say, yeah, I don't need to worry about it because there's no distinction in who I'm being. And the other thing that's come up is that I'm just, and I enjoyed the call last month. I didn't comment, but I did enjoy the call and spending time listening to the distinctions. But in the spot where I'm at right now, without any details necessary, just feeling okay with, hey, heart, you can let the gloves down. Let the gloves down. Because that's kind of where I'm feeling at right now with life and a few relationships with, again, no details necessary, but just my experiences. And saying, hey, I heard you say something that it's that helps you distinguish that, and it went blank, but it was about, I think, protecting the heart was what you were saying, so I didn't quite clearly get what you said.
Fear is a red flag for shutting down the heart with the illusion of protection. So if you don't mind, can I distinguish something? Because what you're saying is brilliant, and I think everybody can relate to it. See, sometimes we shut down the heart, and we do it because we think, and we were trained very, very young, this is how you protect yourself. What I'm saying that's going to go against this kind of logic is there is no protection. Let's just start there. There is no protection. There's either, there's either feeling powerfully or resisting what there is to feel. And if you can agree with life purpose is to experience life fully, then you and I want to practice being open-hearted. Mark, no matter what, and feel whatever there is to feel and allow that energy to move quickly through, not to get rid of it, but to continue to feel millisecond by millisecond by millisecond by millisecond.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for stepping up and sharing. I really appreciate you being here and and participating. I'm gonna now mute the line, and I will throw in a couple of complete thoughts, and then we'll complete the call. If anybody has anything they need or want to communicate with me, feel free to email me at thestagesoflove@gmail.com, or you're welcome to call me, and my phone number is on my website, thestagesoflove.com, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. And if you're going through anything, guys, anything, quantum love is the answer. And having a heart-to-heart conversation with me will make a difference. So it might be an opportunity to hire me as your coach. And I'm not saying it is, but I want to plug that in there like a little commercial, okay? And now I'm going to mute everybody for a few minutes.
You are now muted.
I want to invite you. I will be in Sacramento on July 20th at the DoubleTree Hotel, and I'm producing a program called The Heart Shift. Now listen, this program, it's only $20. This program will rock your world. You will have a shift at the level of heart, and you will leave in a new paradigm, and that is my promise. For your $20, okay? It's a great, extraordinary evening. We start at 7 p.m. and we go till 10 p.m. Please do whatever you need to do to rearrange your world to be there. And if you are out of area, like Mark is, and some of you that aren't close enough to drive to Sacramento, I offer the program live streaming. So you pay your same $20. I'll send you the access code. You can hop on and be with us the entire evening, and you can participate fully. Next, August 12th, which is a Saturday, I'll be doing an all-day workshop starting at 10 a.m. until 7 p.m., which is followed up with 3 very specific webinars. So we have Saturday all day, then you have a Thursday night webinar, a week later a Thursday night webinar, and 1 week later, completing the program, a Thursday night webinar. Now this program is outrageous, and it's called the Quantum Shift. Now it's $495, and I promise you it is worth every nickel. Be at the July 20th, and I'll be offering some significant discounts to that program. Okay, last thing. Next month, our call is free. It's July 16th, same time, same telephone number. Whoever made it to the call, I love you. I appreciate you. I honor you, and I respect you. Thank you very, very much for bringing the energy to this call that made it possible. And I hope to speak to every single one of you very soon, and if not very soon, next month. Good night.